Hurricane, a tidal wave, essence perfect, life looks radiance, give me moral dance. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized, push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. Whoa, I can sing, I can hear, going crazy for the light. It's got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my hand.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to TNA Slammiversary post show. Here I am with my co-host from Killer Cuts, Bobby. How are you, Bobby?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing this evening?
Doing all right. It was a lot of ups and downs today, as our guest today, Mark, will tell us. How are you, Mark?
I've been sat here. The show ended about 10 minutes ago, and I'm still wondering what I've watched. And I'm still trying to... It is currently 4:30 in the morning for me, and I'm still wondering, one, how am I awake? And two, what have I watched? That is going to be a theme of this evening from myself. What have I watched?
I believe the political term is "This is TNA."
Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome to TNA Wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah. This is going to be fun.
Can't wait.
Yeah, very interested to see what happens here. I'm going to start with the countdown, since that's what we began the night with today. We had Tasha Steele versus Faby Apache versus Giselle Shaw versus Saya Brookside. I wish I would have named this on a more contender, especially because it really gave me that vibe through the whole performance from the ladies. But either way, I think it was a fun match to watch. I really liked Giselle. Like, I feel like she really stood out to win this match. The only thing is, like, I was very surprised by the ending. Like, I like how the ending came out, because it was a spear from Giselle to Xia Li, and all of a sudden she knees her as well, and then Tasha just takes out Giselle from there and just pins her. And I was like, I love that, you know, that ultimate opportunist kind of edge kind of story and that we got here from Tasha. But I love my Boricua badass just winning this match. So not a wrong choice, because I feel like she doesn't get a spotlight often. So I'm very glad she won. What did you feel, Mark? Was this a frustrating moment for you to begin with?
Yes. Yes. Xia Brookside. When is she going to win? I really wanted to win. Oh, I was so happy. She was doing so well. And I was like, I've never met her. I was proud of seeing what she was doing. And then the ending coming, I was like, it's like the Euros all over again. Just heartbreak for England. I was like, no, but in the end, it was very good finish, very clever finish as well. I thought the women, with the chants from the audience saying this is awesome as well. This needs to be a bit of a kick up the arse for TNA. They have a lot of women in the background, and they have a lot of women to their roster. They need to start showing them more. And hopefully tonight has been a kick up their keister to go. Yeah, they can go. We can trust them to go forward, and we don't have to worry about what's her name, Rebecca Hard, who's the Hardy wife, turning up and trying to have a match. We can actually have some proper women wrestle. So that was my opinion. I thought it was good. I really enjoyed it. I'm just disappointed Xia Brookside didn't win.
TNA has been doing the women's wrestling side of things properly for a while now. They've always had a strong roster. Great display. Yeah, there was, I mean, two on the pre-show or the countdown show or whatever tonight. There could have been more on the main show. I think the biggest problem is that the matches that they could have replaced on the main show happen to be ones that tie to Montreal, and I mean that goes for PCO later in the program and stuff like that. I unfortunately missed this one. I mean, my only downside to hearing what the result was poor Giselle. having known Giselle, I really only ever wish the best for Giselle. So it's poor Giselle.
No, and I feel like the story would have been, like, I don't want to say perfect, but it would have been a good route because she just came back. You could have started her getting that momentum happening. And I feel like her winning this could have been continuing that story. So when Tasha won, I was like, I'm not mad about it, but I was very surprised that she won. But again, her and Giselle would have been my picks to win this match either way. But I'm glad Tasha won it the way she did. And I love her Cruella de Vil Spire gear. Very well done. Chef's kiss. 10-10, no notes.
The one thing I did find tonight that we'll get into a little bit later on is, yes, TNA have done really, really well with the knockouts for a very long time. But there's no challengers. There's no credible challengers. And tonight, it's still... Look, even if Xia Brookside won, she is nowhere near a challenger to Jordynne Grace whatsoever.
Jordynne Grace could kick the shit out of everybody on the planet. So, I mean, that's your problem right there.
Yeah, that's the issue. You've got to start building someone. And Giselle was starting to get momentum. And then it just feels like there's a little bit now slight change in that momentum. But she can also say she never got pinned. And she was the one about to pin. So there's a little bit to that. It just felt a bit like if you need to build someone credible to try and do it. Not credible, but you've got to try and think it is. And it just, for me, we'll talk about the women's title match later. This is the one that got me really annoyed.
No. But after this, we had an interview with First Class. This is when they really tell us about the match change. So Jonathan Gresham was unable to be in the show tonight. So we're going to have Kushida versus Rich Swann instead. And then we had the appearance of one of Bobby's favorite people, Sami Callihan, backstage as well. So there you go, Sammy. I know you will love that part.
I'm so disappointed I missed
that. I was hoping you would watch it. Like, you had no idea. I wanted to see your reaction when you saw him appear on screen. But
I'm so annoyed you didn't see the PCO match as well on top of that. Just going to say that at that time. Just because of Sami Callihan. That's literally... As soon as he walked out, I went, I really hope Bobby's watching this.
I'm sorry. I just didn't feel like watching my second favorite Quebecer. So, it's...
Ouch. Well, right after this, we had Kushida versus Rich Swann. Again, this was, I feel like even taking out Rich Swann out of the equation, I feel like this would have been it would have been different with Gresham involved in here. I was not expecting Kushida to get that win. But again, I feel like it changes the tables when Rich Swann is the one that's replacing Gresham here. I feel like they had a good back and forth, and I just didn't expect Kushida to win it in the end, though. So when he won, I was like, oh, sure, I guess that's how we're going to continue the story. Mark, since you watch it on a weekly basis at this point, how was that for you when it comes to the storyline moving forward?
It did nothing. The best thing TNA should have done was to not have this match at all and wait for Gresham to be there. I don't understand Kushida. I'm not with him at the moment. Rich Swann, I couldn't care about at all. Watching on a weekly basis and watching this and seeing what's going on, this match would have felt a lot different and a lot more important, and I would have cared, I think, a bit more than what I did when I watched this. I was very much of, yeah, all right. You knew Rich Swann wasn't going to win, but I think if Gresham was in this, he would have won because of the character he's got and the way that he's being booked at the moment. That win would have been perfect for him, but this match just literally did not. It was like, all right, that's literally how I went during it.
Yeah, Bobby, I think you missed this one too, right?
I did. Yeah, no, I'm thinking now there must have been 4 matches on the countdown. So.
Yeah,
I caught the next 2. We're good on the next 2.
Yeah, I was surprised because I expected the next match to basically end very close to 8 o'clock Eastern. So when it did, I was like, what are they going to do with this gap in between? But I'm glad they fill it up somehow. But no, next up we had Masha Slamovich and Alisha Edwards, aka Militia, versus Dani, Luna, and Jody Threat, aka Spitfire, for the Knockouts Tag Team Championship. Mark, I'll let you talk about this one since you seem frustrated already.
So, Hannah Montana, by the way, if you haven't seen the pre-show, I call Alisha Edwards, isn't it? That's the name, right? I call her Hannah Montana because she has the tag team and then she has the system and then she doesn't intertwine them both. They're separate. So Hannah Montana is her name now. Thank you. I had some couple of bangers that Astrid did not appreciate whatsoever, and I know Bobby would have. We'll talk about one of them in a bit. But no, for me, it was very much of, yeah, but why would you build the Spitfire up to then lose? Like, because they had that whole repackaging of one of them had to go and fight and had to do a 10-minute match. And then they had to fight each other in a 15-minute match. Then it went over the time limit. And then they had to carry on until it got disqualified by Hannah Montana coming in and destroying them, to then them losing on it. Like, the tag team champions at the moment do nothing. They're not together on TV. They're not together with other women. You've got Hannah Montana just walking around with the system and then doing that. And then the other one just pops up every so often. And so if you're going to do it, to me, a tag team, I'm very much old school. If you're a tag team, you wear the same type of thing. You don't wear completely different, because it annoys me when people wear different and they're in the same tag team. And you're with each other all the time, not spick and span. So for me, I think Spitfire should have won because of that. But at the same time, if you look at the TV, I'm going by what I've watched since the NXT TNA deal come into place. There's no other tag team I've seen so far that could go up against them. They haven't presented any of them. So where they go from here, I have zero amount of clue.
I think the only one I would have thrown in, but not yet, would have been when Ali returns. I think that's when something that I would like to see with the girls coming together, whether it's her and Havoc or her and Rosemary, whichever, as a freeboard kind of rule. I would like to see that happening because it kind of hints at Ali returning, but Ali hasn't returned yet, so we'll see if that happens. But what I thought was interesting about the story, supporting what you said as well, Spitfire had their matching gear and everything. It's like they look great together, but then you see moments within the match that Masha is protecting Alisha, but then Alicia's not protecting Masha. And it's like, what is happening here? You guys are a team. And it's like we had a moment that Masha just pulls Alisha so she doesn't get hit, but then where they're about to have a double suplex, Masha's holding Alisha, and Alisha just breaks off, so only Masha takes it. I was like, she saved you. Why aren't you saving her? And it's like you can see that they're not a cohesive unit in that aspect. And like you said, there's nobody else to really go against. I was hoping Killer Kelly would return here, and then Masha would be like, I don't need you anymore. I got Killer now back. So I was hoping that would happen. And I thought about you because I actually mentioned it in the countdown too. When Masha was coming out, they said, Masha is partners with Alisha, but she's not in the system like Alisha. And they were like, they kept pointing it out. She's not in the system, but she's partners with her. And I was like, Mark is going to be so mad when he hears this. That's all I could think about. But again, it's like it happens a lot. And you see a lot through the matches, Jody and and Dani being a double team very often. And you see that happening throughout the match. The chemistry they have, the back and forth, the communication they have is so much better than Alisha and Masha. And it's like the only way they were able to win was by introducing the championship. And then Masha wasn't able to use it, so Alisha was able to use it on Jody, and that's how they won. If it wasn't for that, they wouldn't have been able to win because they were not a cohesive unit during this match. But at the same time, I was thinking this is the first match the system has, so it's like the system has a #1 score so far. How's the rest of the night gonna go for them? We'll see. But again, I feel like the match was okay. It was the fact that I was just hoping Spitfire would take it because it was their win in here, unfortunately, but it really wasn't. Like I said a few minutes ago, we ended up having a little bit of a gap here. It wasn't 8 o'clock yet. We had like I think 10-ish minutes before, and we had EY coming out with the returning and favorite of Bobby, Alex Hammerstone. But now, Bobby, that you can talk about one of your favorites. How did you feel about that match?
Well, I don't know. I'm impartial with this because I feel like if you're ever going to ignite Hammerstone as a top person in TNA wrestling, having him lose upon return, I mean, no shame in losing to EY. I mean, EY is fantastic and everything like that. But to me, if you're going to pull a trigger on, especially a heel Hammerstone, you've got to have him. Even if he gets beat by EY in the fashion he did with the roll up, catches him off guard because he got too arrogant. The fact that Hammer afterwards spent all his time arguing with a referee over the count that caught him instead of just beating the living tar out of Eric Young, which would have given him his heat back. I think that was the draw away from me. I know later in the night we find out that this is going to play into something for Thursday night, which hopefully that will maybe ignite a little bit more of Hammer's heat and stuff like that. But I felt for a return, it fell a little flat because he didn't get the heat back. Not because EY won. I get it. He's Canadian. He's an OG. It's Slammiversary. Of course, he's probably going to take this victory, but Hammer needs something. He really needs something. He went into that awesome program with Josh Alexander, and now all that steam, I think, especially with what we saw in the main event tonight, draws away from what was going to go Hammer's direction for a while there. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, I would have put EY against somebody else here because if you wanted EY to win, I would have put Hammerstone in this role because the way you're going, you have the crowd favorite, but then when Hammerstone comes out, you're talking about like, oh, it's his return since this match and this match. You're like building him up like he's this great person, great wrestler, and he's returning, so he's trying to get redeemed from what from the injury. And then you make him lose the way you did. And obviously it was a quick match because it was less than 10 minutes. So like not, those two things at the same time, it didn't work out for me either. And then I was torn because of how do you go between the hometown favorite, the home country versus the returning guys. So I would have put somebody else in here and maybe save Hammerstone for that Thursday. I don't know. I would have done something differently here. Or just on Hammerstone with somebody else that he could easily squash and it doesn't look bad because somebody is not from the home country losing.
I'm sure there's a lot of people in Montreal that would have volunteered their opportunity to go get pinned by EY, trust me.
Very true. What about you, Mark? Uh-oh.
Yeah. Here we go.
I think I agree with everything that Bobby said. The issue is I've never seen Hammerstone before. So you're going from a guy that's never seen a bloke. I'm going from a clean slate. I watched MLW once, and that was with Bobby, where we had to find out about a baby daddy that just was mental on its own. That was just full on mental. And then you go into this, and because of so with Bobby, with me and Bobby, we've got the WWE 2K24 save, and he uses Hammerstone like he's a boss. So I look at this and I go, right, I'm looking forward to this to see what the actual Hammerstone is like. And then I saw him lose to Eric Young, and I'm like, why? Like, how is Eric Young still going? Like, I have no care in the world for Eric Young whatsoever. The only time I cared about him was when he was in Sanity, and that was about it. So for me, I think this really hurts Hammerstone. And I think Hammerstone needs to find a way of becoming an animal. But he's got the build of an animal. He's got the build of someone that you go, could destroy anyone, anytime, any place, anywhere. And I watched it and I went, Eric, you could have put. Do you know what? You could have cancelled the Eric Young, not the Eric Young, the Kushida versus Rich Swann match, and you could have put Kushida versus Eric Young, and then literally, if Kushida lost, nobody would have cared from that, and if because it meant nothing to the storyline of what's been going on. So you would, and then you could have made the match go a bit longer as well. So I think this was a poor decision from TNA, and it has not helped Hammerstone whatsoever.
And you haven't seen the best of Hammerstone. That was the problem. That was not Hammerstone at his finest. It's far from it. It's, you know what? If you got to see the right Hammerstone match, you'd understand why I think that they need to do something more with him, because I think he can be a top guy in TNA, just like he was, like Andre saying, that he was a hoss in MLW. There's a reason he excelled there. There's a reason that why, while lumped into a group with Richard Holiday and MJF, that he still stood out like a sore thumb with a guy who inevitably would become a main eventer over in AEW. He still stood out from the pack, kind of thing. And I think that, I hope that, Mark, you get a better opportunity to see the true Alexander Hammerstone, because once it's displayed, you'll understand.
Yeah, and I look forward to it, because you've made him nearly beat Roman Reigns on my save. So on our save, so it's one of those, and then he's won the title on what we've been doing as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to see what he does, but this match just it did more harm than what it should have.
Yeah,
yeah, I totally agree.
And I think that's probably going to be a theme for Slammiversary tonight.
Over the last 12 months, that is not so true, Andre. Not so true.
Well, right after that, we had the opener match. So it was Matt Hardy versus JDC, the man of 1,000 nicknames, as I'd like to say, because he's Johnny Curtis, Dango, Fandango, Johnny, Dango Curtis. I don't know what to call him at this point. To be honest, it wasn't much of the match for me. It was a lot of just wrestling outside into, like, I would say, like almost halfway through when the match is official. And then match just wins. And there's not much to it, unfortunately, for me. How was that for you, Mark?
This match did with Fandango as good as I expected him to do, which was not a much. I don't get him. He's left WWE now for forever, and he still is the same type of wrestler he was in WWE than he was then. Just no one cares. The whole point of this match was that revenge for what he did to Jeff Hardy. Which I'm slightly thankful for. We don't get to see Jeff Hardy, but that attack, and it was all about Matt Hardy's revenge. But the revenge was just a bit meh. To be fair, that is the best Matt Hardy's looked in a little while. In a normal type match, he's been very sluggish in his matches recently. When I've watched him, when he goes to the floor or does that side effect, it takes him about 10 minutes to try and get back up. I do worry about the Hardys a little bit, because they've gone through so much with their body and what they've put themselves through that you can just tell that Father Time is catching up with them. And my worry is are they coming in to take a spot away from someone that deserves to have a spot? And the match did what the storyline did. It was the revenge for his brother. And it was just a lot of fighting on the outside, which I expected it to do. But with Fandango, I've not impressed. I've seen him wrestle now 2 or 3 times in the ring since I've been watching TNA, and he still looks exactly the same as what he did in WWE. And he's been out a lot longer and should have got better. So for me, I'm disappointed in him. There's an English wrestler. And I can't remember his name. He's English and he's young, and I've seen him a few times on TNA, and I can't remember. And he's high flying, and I hope that he gets his spot back and doesn't go to one of those two, because he very, very impressed me more than what these two tried to do. And it was just one of those. Hardy's body wore out on him, and that was about it.
The one I can think about is Leon Slater. I think
that's the one. That's the one. Yeah, I love him. Mainly because he's English, and I will always support the English. But he impressed me a lot. And he's someone who I think deserves a spot. But yeah, it was not a match that I really thought would be why Bobby nearly dies from thinking about Matt Hardy going from there.
Bobby. Hey, Ole. We had a lot of Ole chants tonight, too.
We really did. But, I mean, yeah, there's not a lot more to add to what either of you have said. Like, I mean, Matt Hardy is at that point where it's like he's an attraction because of what he's done in the past, but he's not going to be delivering to you what you got years and years and years ago. I don't know that with his take on professional wrestling that he's necessarily going to come in to take away a lot. I think what he wants to do is add that little bit of star power to TNA to help continue with the current growth that they're in. And then we'll step aside as they continue to make new stars and produce new people there and stuff like that. I don't see Matt as being selfish enough to not put over the right people. This match, it was what it was. I think the worst part about it is going on first, and it's kind of sluggish, especially considering what we got next after this one, which should have opened the show 100%.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like not only that, the fact that Matt Hardy is already at a point that he's so slow when he wrestles. So it's like starting off the pay-per-view is something kind of slow. You need to do something like we said with the next match, because we had the system backstage talking about other matches tonight. It's like, oh, we have Alisha that just won, so we're gonna keep that momentum going. And Moose is the last one to speak of like him retaining his championship. So this is the moment that we have Eddie and Brian come out for their match against Chris Payne and Austin for the tag team championship. And like Bobby was saying, definitely this I would have put this one as the opener at least. This one or the Rascalz match would have been the openers for me, because you want to start with a fast pace, get people kind of awake and get that energy going. And I'm like that Matt Hardy Dango match doesn't really do that. It really doesn't. The pacing of the match itself, I think the most exciting part that they wrestled outside of the ring for a while. Other than that, there's really not much to it, and it doesn't work out that way. But I like the back and forth we have with both of the teams here. There's just so much in that. I laughed. I really had to laugh. I'm sorry when Bay hit Alisha and they had to keep her out of the match. I was like, yes, they're definitely gonna win if she's out. That's all I could think about when she got hit. So yeah, we got in the end ABC winning the championship for the third time now. So I'm very glad for ABC. What about you, Bobby?
This was, like I said, again, this should have started off the night because this was fast paced. They did a really good job of explaining why we should care. That was the biggest part. The way this was unfolded was this team has been dominant. They have been great tag team champions. This is the teams that they have beaten along this path to here tonight. This is why we should care about the challengers. This is what they have done, their accolades. This was built like a sporting matchup, like a real championship matchup. And then they delivered. For everything Eric Young said about everybody going out when he gave his promo earlier in the night, saying everyone's going to go out there and give you their absolute best because this is Slammiversary, the 20th edition. This is where it matters. This is everything you want because this is the company we built. This match was all of those things that Eric Young explained. This was strong, great back and forth. Great tag team action from both these guys, possibly match of the night, arguably match of the night in my opinion, and a title change that works. ABC, congratulations. I like this one. This was solid.
I'm just very happy the system lost, to be fair. I'm just very happy they lost. And do you know what? I shouldn't have laughed, but I laughed the same time as you, Astrid, when Hannah Montana decided to take a... That's literally her name from now on. I refuse to call her anything else. Yeah, very much. I very much enjoyed the whole of this. I thought this was brilliant. This is a proper tag team match. I think one of the things that you can tell the differences with the booking from if we're going to compare it to NXT, shall we say, is NXT always starts off hot, always starts off a bit like WWE have started to do now as well under Triple H. The first match is always the one that really hooks you in, and the Matt Hardy match didn't hook me in at all, but this match drew me back in for it. And I have to say, I love Chris Bay anyway. I think he's an absolutely brilliantly talented wrestler. I really want him to be in WWE. I want him to turn up in NXT with those titles as well and do something with them. I just want to see TNA have a TV deal so they can have things weekly and do stuff like that instead of pre-recording it all. Yeah, for me, I think Bobby's right as well. This is match of the night from it, and it was even better because the system lost, so that was even better.
And this is when we go the system, and then
yes,
I like
we could also say the words that the Montreal crowd serenaded the system with all night long.
That's scary. I don't know how that happened.
The robot is listening.
Even the robot's telling the system that they might try again later on to try and win something.
Might as well. No, and then not only that, thinking of like Mark going by what you said, thinking of ABC versus like Naxium, for example. Oh. I will be in heaven. Give me that, please.
Oh my god, that's so good.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, I think it was them that did a Magic Killer at one point, and they actually mentioned the OC when they did. I was like, I love that too. I'm glad they're able to talk about it on screen, and then there's no shame for that at this point. So that was nice to see.
Let's just hope they don't talk about Luke Gallows. Then we're fine.
Can I say my one gripe, my one tiny gripe, and it's just a small one?
Of course, you've got a gripe about Sunning, ain't ya?
It's doing the heart attack move twice on the same night.
Yeah,
it was done in the ladies' match, and Jody Threat doing it. She's Canadian, paying that homage to the Heart Foundation. I thought was nice, and then it happened in this match as well too. And I'm like, it lost its luster when they did the homage on this one. Just they should have let Jody have that moment earlier in the night and left it alone. I don't think it needed to be done twice. That's it. That's all.
Agreed.
Other than that, amazing match.
Yeah, definitely true. After this, we had the interview with Speedball, and then we jumped to one of Bobby's favorite people. It was Jake Something versus Mike Santana.
Jake Something is
something.
Something. I mean, I don't know what it is. It's like he's a big boy. He can wrestle. He's just generic.
Something.
He's something.
No, I feel like it was a fun match. I feel like I expected Santana to win this. So it felt like a kind of like a given for him at least. But I'm like Mark told me, he's like, this is only for Santana. Where I say, I'm okay with that. I don't mind Santana winning any match. I don't care. He can give him all the matches, give him everything. I don't care. So it was fun though to watch. It just felt like it was kind of short. I don't know if it was anybody else, but I felt that sort of vibe from it.
Yeah. No, I thought it was, again, it was one of the better overall matches. And again, like maybe because my expectations were lower because it was Jake Something. And again, he's one of those guys where it's like, he's not terrible. I know the difference between terrible and not terrible. He's not terrible. He's just not interesting. That's, I think, the biggest gripe with Jake Something is that it's so generic that I kind of forget about him until the next time we watch one of these, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's there. And he was there, and he wrestled, and it was fine. Everything about this, there was nothing wrong with it. These two did fine. I liked this more than the outcome in later matches on this card.
What about you, Mark?
I can't really add anything on. It meant nothing. They're having this big program with Mike Santana with the god of TNA, and it just didn't mean anything. Like, this was just a feeder for Mike Santana to win, to just get a W in the bracket, and it just felt I could do without. But I know that they wanted Mike Santana on the card, and I know that it will be a bigger pool for people to watch if he's on it. And so they had to do something with him. But the build for this was nothing, and the match was good, but it just didn't do anything for me.
I understand. I don't agree with you, but I understand.
And I just need to interrupt for a second. I didn't check earlier, but I do want to say thank you to Mike, the ref, who rated us earlier in the show a little bit ago. So, Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry I missed it immediately, but thank you.
Yeah, right after this, we had the Rascalz with a reuniting Wesley versus Mark's favorite team, the people that he doesn't know the name. So it's the No Quarter Catch crew, the Candy crew, as Ed likes to call it. We call them on Taking Over, which is Charlie Dempsey, Tavion, and Myles Borne. First, I gotta say, I do like my matching team with the Buzz Lightyear gear. Chef's kiss again, 10-10, no notes from me at least.
It was cute.
Yes, it was very nice. No, I like them reuniting here to think of like this is something that's possible now in 2024. It's crazy to think about. Never in a million years would I have seen the name, but it says Wesley WWE as he's coming out with the Rascalz and seeing that group reunite the way they did, and they didn't miss a beat. It doesn't even feel like like he's been away from the group for that long at this point. You don't get that vibe from the way the team is working out and the way they did here. But again, this was one of my favorite matches of the night. The pacing was incredible, just like the tag team match, and that's why I said this is another one that I would have put to open because it was such fast pace, and I feel like the crowd would have been happy to see Wesley back in TNA. And overall, I feel like it was just great vibes all around for me. I feel like the guy that really stood out for this in this match was Tavion Heights, though. We haven't seen a lot of him in NXT so far, but I feel like he was so hard hitting, especially with Trey Miguel at some points during this match. It was just incredible to watch. So I hope we do get to see more of him in the ring in NXT because this is the most I've seen from him, if I'm not mistaken. But again, overall, just an enjoyable match. What about you, Bobby?
See, I don't watch NXT on a regular basis, but I do listen to you and Ed talking about it all the time. Oh, come on, I'm only one person. But I do listen to Taking Over, so I do hear the references and all this kind of thing. One thing I'll say is the more I see Charlie Dempsey, the more I'm a Charlie Dempsey fan. I like Charlie Dempsey a whole heck of a lot. But you are right. A lot of great things in this particular matchup. Nice to see the guys in the matching gear. That was a nice touch. Everything on display that it was. This is TNA versus NXT, but we do have somebody who works for the other company, but he has ties back to TNA. Loved it. Thought it was great. I'm also not usually a big fan of trios matches, yet I loved this matchup. Everyone did their part in making this excellent. And again, outside of the tag match, this probably was the other best match of the entire evening. So kudos to them. I loved this one.
Yep.
Yeah, for me, this felt like an NXT PLE match. This is what it felt to me. This felt like you've got NXT fingerprints all over this. And I really liked it because one that you've got a friend in me. Toy Story reference. There we go. By the way, I have been thinking how to include that for the past 5 minutes. And then at the end of the day, the Rascalz went to infinity and beyond. So another Toy Story smashed it. Yeah, so for me, I really, 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 really like this match. It was great to see that Wesley did really well. And let's just see what they do moving forward. So yeah, I'm just gonna carry on. I've just seen something. I'm not saying nothing. So yeah, loved it. Really enjoyed it. That was my joint best match of the night. And yeah, that was amazing.
Yep. I think this was probably our least favorite match of the night. I think we're in an agreement on this.
I just want to tell this story right away. I saw the graphic come up for this, and I'm like, you know what? With all due respect, PCO, again, you're my second favorite Quebecer out of the two Quebecers growing up because I like Jacques Rougeau a hell of a lot more. With all due respect, this guy should have retired like 20, 30 years ago or something like that. Like, this is just, it's not enjoyable watching his stuff anymore. I don't get it. I'm not interested in it. We all know I'm not an AJ Francis fan, so everybody out there that likes him, I'm sorry. I'm just not interested in AJ Francis. I saw the graphic come up on the screen. I said, nope, I've got shit to do. I'm going to walk away and do my stuff so I don't have to be angry. So, to the both of you, take this away.
First, it's not AJ Francis. It's Flop Dollar. That's what you call it.
Okay. I was trying to be nice tonight. I was trying to be
No,
polite.
we don't care.
Okay.
We go Flop
All right.
Dollar.
Flop Dollar it is.
There you go. This, I could have done without this match.
Can we just talk about the messages I sent you during this match? The words were, I sent to Astrid, what the fuck is going on? Right? during the match and the ending, I literally sent her a message going, "What am I watching?" And this is when I said at the start of the show, "What have I watched?" It was to this. We had Rhino. We had Sami Callihan. They have not been involved in any of the... Rhino had a shot at the title about 2 weeks ago and lost in an ECW Extreme Rules match. Sami Callihan has never been seen near Flop Dollar or PCO since I've been watching TNA. Where is that? And PCO, as much... Apparently, I think if I remember correctly what they said on commentary, he's been wrestling since 1987, right? Or was it 1989 or something like that? The man needs to stop. He's turning into that. He did the bump with the chairs, right? Where the two chairs were together, and he landed on his back on the top of it, and I went, "Mate, retire, rest up. You died backstage, you got risen, and then you've just been killed again." Like, Flop Dollar, right? This made me laugh so much because it's Flop Dollar. When he went for the knee, he then fell over the top rope and his foot hit the edge of the table and broke it. I'm like, it couldn't happen to... My voice is going so high-pitched because I just did not know what in the living hell I was watching during this at all. Mental. Absolute. And then the ending, like, just... Are we going to talk about the ending now, or are we going to wait?
You talk about it. You got everything.
So he'd been asking her to go out for weeks. They went on a date, which, by the way, was the weirdest fucking date video I have ever watched in my entire existence of watching wrestling. It was even weirder than finding out who the baby daddy was on MLW, and that's saying something. She then gets thrown through a table by AJ Francis, which weirded me out, seeing a man throw a woman through a table in wrestling. I hadn't seen that in way too long for me to even compute that.
You got to get out of that WWE bubble, man.
I know, and then she did a promo package last week where she said she was in Australia trying to get herself back, and then she turns up, loses the ring that was in it. Couldn't find it. He then fell out onto the ring. She then picked it. What the fuck did I watch? I sat there messaging Astrid the whole time going, "What am I watching? What is going on?" We could not compute exactly what was happening. It was mental. Full on mental.
Oh my god.
I didn't even watch, and I can say poor Steph DeLander.
This is what I said. Welcome to TNA, Mark.
Jesus Mary. I was like, this is mental on too many stages.
And you're right. It was 1987 for PCO's debut.
Stop. Right? Stop. Do you remember the meme that Michael Jordan did? Stop. Get some help. That is for you. That is for you, PCO. Jesus, my man. And he won. And he won. At the age of like 95, the guy has won a title. I just what is this booking?
Not only that, not just any title, but the Digital Media Championship.
Digital media didn't exist when PCO started wrestling.
Does he even know how to use a computer? Does he have a cell phone? Something?
I'm older than...
He's just got a flip phone for the first time.
If I'm older than Google, then by God, this man's about 4 generations older than it.
Believe it or not, PCO's only 57.
Fuck off. Sorry, I've swore so many times during this. Fuck off. The man looks 70 odd. I'm telling you. He's been in too many death matches for me. Oh my golly gosh.
That's what it'll do to you.
He looks like he's like 70.
Yep. Wait to see what Moxley looks like in 10 years.
I really have nothing to add aside from everything Mark said.
It was just fucking... I could go on... Do you know what? It was that weird that I actually slightly enjoyed it. Like, I couldn't keep my eyes off of it. Because it was... No. It was so batshit crazy, I couldn't keep my eyes off it. It was like, what is going to happen next? Is a priest or of a son going to pop up in the middle of the ring just to marry him now? I was I'll
tell you right now, TNA knows how to do weddings. So this is going to be pretty awful disaster. I'm telling you right now. I'm preparing you mentally. It is gonna be a great disaster because I was there for the Brooke Hogan Bully Ray wedding.
Oh
Like,
my
I was
God!
really there for that.
Oh my God! I blocked
I
that
was
out of
there.
my memory. I've blocked that one out of my memory.
Nuh-uh. I was
Oh
there for that
no!
one, so I can tell you how terrible this is going to be. Just prepare yourself.
If anything has to go by this match, this wedding is going to be awful, but I'm not going to be able to take my eyes off it. It's like do you know what? Because it's only like recency bias. That MLW baby daddy thing, right, was so awful. I couldn't take my. You will see clips of it, right? If you watch me, Andre, and Bobby just sit there going, "What is going on? What is happening?"
This is the funny part because it's a difference in culture because that segment from MLW is like telenovela from like the Hispanic culture
Yeah.
kind of vibe. So if you like it, I'm telling you, like soap operas in Spanish, you will enjoy those too.
See, and that doesn't bother me because I know what I'm getting into there. But with this, it was like it just went on forever, and I'm just like, okay, enough already.
Oh, that one was not a soap opera. That was a full-on stage play of the MLW one. In England, if you're English and you watch this, right, you guys will know this. We have EastEnders, and there's a clip that's going on in my brain that I can just remember. And they thought they were sisters, and they were arguing. And she walked away, and she turned around and she went, "I'm your mother." That is literally the thing that just pictures me right now. Cat Slater, by the way, EastEnders legend. It's just. It is 5:15 in the morning, and I'm losing my mind over PCO.
Yes, you very much are. I'm glad that this next 3 matches were more like, I would say, normal matches.
No,
Use that word. They were more normal. Yes, they were.
No, there's one that wasn't that really irritating me, but the one that's going to come up really irritating me more than the PCO match.
Yeah, but it was still a regular match compared to the hot mess you just talked about. That's what I mean. It's a normal match, so that one was better than what we watched with PC or whatever that was. I don't want to call it a match, but whatever that was. Next
that
up we
thing.
had Jordynne Grace versus Mark's favorite person in the world, Ash by Elegance. Mark, I'm gonna let you start with this one because I know you're.
No, don't let me go first because I'm going to go on a rant, and I've just been on a rant. Don't make me go because I am going on a rant, and I've just been on one, and I'm letting other people talk before I go on another one.
Okay, we'll go with Bobby first.
Well, I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I want that rant now. But I mean, again, I know we could say this over and over again. It's hard to build opponents for Jordynne Grace because she's been booked into a position where she is unstoppable. And which they have done with a lot of champions recently in companies, is making them unstoppable. So it's hard to build your next credible, and as you're saluting the tribal chief, Mark, it's very true.
Former tribal chief. My tribal chief is now Solo Sikoa. Thank you very much.
Fair enough. But not to get too much off the rails here with WWE stuff on TNA. No, again, Ash is Ash. Everybody's going crazy for her all of a sudden, yet they hated her not that long ago. I never thought she was as bad as everyone says she is. She's fine. I think the character is actually better than what she's ever done before, so I give it that. I understand why they're putting her in the position they currently are. But as far as someone credible that's going to take the belt from Jordynne, the only way is going to be through some sort of shenanigans. And could those shenanigans be starting Thursday with Hammer kind of in the corner and stuff like that? Does heel Hammerstone cost Jordynne Grace? I mean, then again, I'd love to see the retaliation from that. I'd love to see Jordynne Grace versus Alexander Hammerstone and watch Jordynne Grace slap that big piece of beef around the fucking ring. But yeah, anyway, that's all I got to say. I mean, it was a decent enough matchup. I've seen way better Jordynne Grace matchups, a lot better Jordynne Grace matchups. So it was fine. There was worse matchups on this card.
I feel still Jordynne being the veteran here, to put it like that, she still made Ash look good. I think the only thing that really bothered me about Ash, and this is me as a woman, I hate when a woman have matches, segments, anything, and they're wearing these tops or these outfits that I'm just you can tell they're just pulling the outfit up the whole time while they're wrestling or doing a segment. If you do a segment with a skirt on, if you know you're going to get physical, just don't do it. Or a dress. That's a big no-no for me. And seeing here, what really took me out of this match is like Ash kept pulling her top up the whole time, and there was a moment that even Jordynne pinned her, and I thought it was gonna slip out, and you could see like every time she pulling it back up, and I was like, I hate it. Stop doing that. You know, next time try to wear something that has a strap on to keep it in place while you're wrestling if you're gonna be moving so fast. But I was a little bit scared of Ash winning this because I was thinking she's like the shiny new toy kind of thing in TNA. So I was like, are they gonna really go that route and just mess me up with Jordynne like this? Because I really don't want that. I really was in that mindset. I was like, please don't do it to Jordynne of all people, because we had her concierge like really interfering even early on in the match. And I like how they have Rosemary in the crowd. At first, I thought it was Tatum because she had the dark outfit and everything. I was like, was that Tatum or was that Rosemary? Because I think it would have been continuity with Tatum going after the championship would have been funny. But it was Rosemary trying to get revenge for the attack on Havoc before. And I like how they mentioned that on commentary for those of us that didn't catch up. So it's nice to see that. And then all of a sudden she goes after the concierge because of the interference. And she has a freaking knife in her hand. I was like, what is happening here? We're going to like serial killer mode at this point. And she basically just runs him off because of the knife. So at least once he was gone, I thought, okay, unless somebody else comes in, then Jordynne is retaining the championship. I felt a lot better when he was gone. That's what I was calm, to be honest. But again, there was moments like she did the Canadian Destroyer and that slice spread. I feel like they look decent from Ash in this aspect at least. But it's like I was just scared up until the concierge left. That's when I feel like Jordynne has this. She's by herself. Unless somebody comes in, we're fine. But it's nice to see Jordynne retaining. She's had now the championship for, 7 months at this point almost, or 8. So, like we said earlier, I think the big thing that TNA has is that TNA has had, and they do have a great roster. They just don't have anybody built up that I can say, oh, so-and-so is going to beat Jordynne. Because they really don't have anybody built enough to do that right now. It's unfortunate. Because they do have they have choices, but just they're not built up to do that at the moment. So I wonder with Tasha winning earlier, if maybe they would do something there moving forward, and maybe Tasha's the one that would do something with Jordynne in the future. So, Mark, it's time for your rant.
Justin, thanks for joining. Go, Mark.
I'm trying to find the nice words to put this. I've been trying to find...
Let it go. Let it go. Just...
What is the fucking point of Dana Brooke at this point? Right? She had... The Ash by Elegance makes no sense, because when she opens her mouth, it's not elegant whatsoever. Right? And then when she goes in... This was her shining opportunity tonight to show the world that WWE made a mistake by getting rid of her, right? This was her big chance to go in the ring and not let Jordynne do all of the work, not let Jordynne Grace do all of it and carry someone during a match. And all of this was Jordynne Grace carrying her through it. Like, I don't get her at all. When she talks, it goes through me like a chainsaw. And then when she wrestles, it's so bad for someone that was in WWE and the Performance Center for so long. For someone to not pick up anything is just I don't. This was her chance. This was the match that I was going in and looking forward to, because I've watched Jordynne Grace matches now that I've started watching TNA, and I've seen some of them before, and I've seen her in the Royal Rumble, and I was really excited. And I'm always when she comes on the screen to watch her. She's someone who I feel like benefits from going around the world, going to Japan, going to all of these type of places like she did when she went with AJ Styles to Japan. It benefits her, and she does it. And then you've got Dana Brooke or Ash by whatever her fucking name is. And she does nothing. She does TNA, and then she does bodybuilding, and then she does nothing else. It's like, go around the world. Learn different things. You shouldn't be in a title match because of where you've been. That was the only reason why she was in this title match, was because of where she was before. Not because of who she's beat or what she can do. It's of where she was before. And that annoys me more than anything. Anyone that walks into a company needs to fight from the bottom and work their way up. No matter where you've been before, no matter what you've done before. And she doesn't deserve any of it. And I really hope that we don't see her anywhere near that championship. If she wins the title, which I please, you've done some real weird shit tonight. Do not do that If she full on meltdown will happen, full on. It'll be worse than I've ever done before, and I've done a few things before. So yeah, I don't get her. I don't see the point in her. I don't see the point in her being near a title. If she went down the bottom and worked her way back up, fine. If she improved and did different stuff, absolutely. But you're still the same person that was in WWE that got released. You were in with Charlotte Flair. You then went down to no one. You then went down to NXT. You had the perfect opportunity in NXT to shine. You didn't. You actually made the person that you were with more over than you ever were. And now you're in TNA. You had the opportunity to prove to people like me to shut my mouth. And now you've made me talk even louder by how terrible you did. Jordynne Grace deserves all the credit in the world for carrying that match of how much she did. Rant over.
All that against the WSW Women's Champion out in Australia? Like, come on, Mark.
There's too many jokes to say about that. I'm not going to.
No. Don't do it.
Don't pick on the indies.
I'm not picking on the Indies. I was about to pick on the Aussies, but I'm not doing that yet.
No, you don't
that
want to.
will be later on down the line.
No. Next up, we had an X Division Championship match. It was Speedball Mike Bailey, the home country boy. I don't want to say boy, but it sounds terrible. Versus Mustafa Ali. This was a fun match, but at the same time, the ending was just crazy because I knew the person was showing up, but at the same time, I was like, but why? I don't want you here. It's like, I know the history behind it, but at the same time, I was like, but why? No, I don't want you here. I really could have done without him. I'm sorry, but it was a fun match. And then the ending, well, the first ending, to put it like that, really got me because we had Speedball pinning Ali, and Ali had his foot on the ropes. So the referee's like, even after the music play, he's like, no, the foot is on the ropes. We got to stop this. And then the referee gets beat up, not once, but twice. And by the time the second time happens, they just go, we have a new referee, Earl Hebner. Yay.
Yep.
Amazing. No. He can barely walk to the ring himself.
Did you see him fall, by the way? When he stood on the chair? Did you not see him? Did you see? He stood on the chair and slipped. Yeah. And then it took him about 10 minutes after that to get back up and to do so. When he fell, I went, oh, he ain't getting back up again. That was in my mind. He ain't getting back up again.
I was like, but who asked for you to be here? That was my question. It's like, who booked this? Because I don't want him near this.
Brett
and then, no, please don't. And then we had Ali putting Speedball on a sharpshooter, and then just encouraging Hebner to just basically just ring the bell, and Hebner wouldn't do it. And then Speedball was able to reverse it and do the sharpshooter instead of he wins the match. It was very nice to see Veda Scott at ringside. Once I saw Veda, I thought maybe Speedball will take it because Veda's at ringside, and not in commentary, but like at ringside watching it, cheering on. So I was very happy about that. But this Hebner crap was like, oh, he redeemed himself. I don't care. I really don't. I could have cared less if she showed up here. Nothing. I don't care. It's not the same. It is not the same.
You don't mess with the Hart family and get redeemed.
Yeah. As a Canadian with this tragedy, Bobby, how was that for you?
This match was on its way to be the best match of the night until they overbooked the shit out of it. And that was where it started to go bad. This was really quality. I liked it. I liked the initial finish where Mike Bailey thought he had it and the foot was on the rope, and they even played the music. I thought it was a nice touch. I think at that point, they should have gone home shortly after that. They should have had all, especially if you're still going to pull the trigger on Mike Bailey, Mustafa Ali should have done that roll up that he did. Bailey barely gets out, but then Bailey should have hit something right then and there, got the official 3 count, and taken the title from him. That would have been a nice touch. I think it got way overbooked with everybody coming in, Trent Seven getting involved, which again, nothing against. No, I like Trent Seven. I'm not dissing him. I'm dissing the overbooking of everything that happened that kind of turned it into too much of a cluster. That was my only beef with this whole thing, because up until that, it was great. Mike Bailey winning in Montreal makes sense. Vita's at ringside. That makes sense. All of it made sense. I just, again, the Earl Hebner shit was too much. Like, even like, okay, the ref, by the way, that ref bump that Gastineau took was fantastic. That was a great ref bump. But you could have even done something shortly after that and come to the finish without bringing out Hebner. The Hebner thing just really dragged this down to why. And the why took me out of it. And that was the biggest problem with it. Congratulations, Mike Bailey, by the way. Like, you know, though, and everything. I like Ali a hell of a lot too. So that's that. Bite me.
You're wrong.
I like Ali. But this was solid up until that point when it started to get a little too overbooked. Otherwise, it probably would have been my match of the night.
Brett screwed Brett, and I'm so happy Ali lost. Yeah, I agree. I think Trent Seven. I was a little bit annoyed when Trent Seven lost the X Division match against Ali. That annoyed me because I just love Trent Seven. But I understand why. Speedball is something different, something unique, something that's not around in the wrestling industry with the kick pads and no shoes. That still weirds me out when I see it. But he's someone who I look at and go, right, you can take this title and do something special with it. You can be ones that do open challenges and you can sort of open the door more for male wrestlers to singles male wrestlers to start turning up onto TNA. So I'm looking forward to the era of Speedball. That's all I can say about that, and I'm just happy he won. TNA is TNA. That's TNA for you. Is that saying that's TNA for you?
This is what This is what TNA does. But why?
There we go. Yeah.
This is TNA.
There's no other explanation. This is TNA.
It's like TNA had a little bit of a larger budget and didn't know what to do with it, and they went, you know what? Let's book random shit throughout the show and confuse everyone. And they did that.
On the plus side, there was no video or audio problems that you had to endure this tonight.
There was last time against all odds when they didn't even do the audio right for Ali dissing his own hometown, which then the hometown never heard, and then it all just carried out. I was like, what has just happened? Production needs to be sorted. But yeah, no, it good ending, the right person won, and I'm excited for the new era of non-Mustafa Ali crap.
Yeah. Right after this is when we had Santino backstage with the concierge. She's talking about Ash losing. And this is what we get, what we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, is Ash and Hammerstone versus Jordynne Grace and EY for Impact this week. So,
Basil.
The idea I'm looking about this is Ash being involved, with everything else I'm fine with. So we'll see how that goes.
Can we because someone can that Stephanie Vakir, is that how you say her name?
Yeah.
Before I try and butcher it. Right. Can we not have her just take her out and then she joins them? That's a match I want to see. Just Ash, go and face Zaya Brookside and let Zaya Brookside win.
That's just you being biased. Anyway, we're gonna go to the main event. It's a 6-way elimination. It's Josh Alexander versus Kazarian versus Moose versus Marcus Already Frustrated versus Nemeth versus Steve Maclin. There you go. I named everybody.
It's just all over the shop.
I didn't know how I feel about this match, but I'm gonna try to go from the beginning. Let's see how this goes. So they said eliminations only by pin or submission, nothing else. And I like how we started with everybody going against Cass and kind of throwing him outside of the ring. But there was so many times that I kept throwing Joe Hendry out of the ring that I kept thinking he's winning because they take him out very often outside for some reason. And I'm going to keep saying it because his performance tonight was awful. Moose is just terrible. He doesn't know how to run. How do you know how to run? How? Why? I don't understand.
He's got two left feet.
Oh, jeez. That doesn't help me at all. But we had the first one was eliminated was Maclin. And then right after that, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, he got eliminated by Hendry. So that really gave us, for sure, a new champion during the match. Thank God. But then here comes the, I don't want to say the twist of the night because it looks like it's going to upset Mark even more. But we had Josh Alexander, give a low blow to crowd favorite Joe Hendry and then pin him right after. The crowd was not happy. We had a lot of bullshit chants that this was happening. So imagine to the point that babyface Josh Alexander, his home country, getting booed because he eliminated Joe Hendry. Yeah, that's something. I think the part that really got interesting was where they were towards the ramp, though, because we had a lot of back and forth. It's like we didn't know who was going to go through the table until Cass was the one that went through the table. And being that he was like taking out for a little while, Moose tried to take over everybody else because he's like, I'm going to get everybody else, and just didn't work out for him in the end. So we had Josh getting eliminated right after, and then it was Nick versus Cass in the end. I really had hope that this would be the moment that Cass won that world championship, though. I really thought that this was his moment, and it should have been his moment. I was very surprised with Nick winning. But at the same time, I'm not mad about it because that means the system only had one victory tonight. One. And it was Alisha, Hannah Montana. That was it. She's the only one that kept her title tonight out of the whole group.
Come on. She's only Hannah when she's in the system. She's Miley when she's in her take.
Either way, we have a new world champion in Nick Nemeth. What did you think, Mike? Do you want to rant now?
This had potential to be match of the year. This had potential by the superstars you had in it and by what you could have done for it. And they failed quite drastically because what you've done is Steve Maclin got eliminated quite early, I would say, in the match, and then it just all changed to something else. The table spot was a bit annoyed me, but the bit that did make me laugh was when Kaz dropped, I'm not calling him Nick Nemeth, Ziggler on his head. And then he had to get up and literally landed on top of his skull. And then he got up and still super kicked him through a table, which I found brilliant. But then the whole storyline leading up to this title match was that Moose wanted to get rid of the hardest one to beat. And they went after Santana when they should have gone after Hendry. And that was one of the things that Moose moaned about during one of the weekly shows. And then for Joe Hendry to then eliminate Moose. But then I don't understand why you would not... You've got the whole world watching. You've got the WWE fans now tuning in, like myself, watching your brand because of one man. You've got one man that can take this to a whole new level, and you give it to a guy that just gets beaten all the time. And it like, I have nothing against Dolph Ziggler. Incredible wrestler. Not a champion. Not a world champion. Should nowhere be near it. Like a mid-card champion, absolutely. World champion, keep him away. He can't do it. And do you know what? I'm going to play it because I'm so annoyed. I was so looking forward to be going, and your new world champion. You know what? I'm not going to give you the satisfaction by playing it all the way through. We had another 5 seconds of it, and I refuse. I'm so I'm just like, Moose lost, good. And then Steve Maclin got speared while doing, I think it was a suplex or something. He got speared out of it. The spear from Moose is the worst spear known to man because it's basically a forward roly-poly into after a spear. There is no need for it. Spear the bloke as hard as you can. Bron Breakker would literally annihilate him. I don't know. I don't know. Joe Hendry should have won that. because of popularity and the way that he could have literally carried TNA to another level, and you've just given it to a guy out of sympathy. And that's annoyed me. Like Josh Alexander, I haven't really seen much before. I've seen bits of him, but never. And then I watched him tonight, and I went,
He's amazing. He really is. So
suplexes are brilliant. He in the ring, great. He'll work. I still don't get why they turned him in his own country. That I don't understand.
No.
That I don't understand. If you did it on a TNA show after, I get it. I understand it. But this disappointed me quite because the winner shouldn't have won. If you're going to pick someone other than Moose and Hendry, you have to go with Kaz because he's never won it. And how annoying would he be on television on the TNA product if he had won that? And look at all the stuff he could have done to keep that. Wrong decision, in my opinion. Run over.
See, I disagree with you saying Ziggler can't be a champion. Ziggler's great. He's capable. I don't think he was the right guy, and I think it was detrimental to do it in the position that they've been placed. They did a lot of things wrong in this matchup. A lot of things wrong. Anytime Moose was leading this matchup, he's a charisma vacuum, and that place went dead. Absolutely dead. Dude literally leaped to the top ropes. Like,
are you sure?
Like, well, I believe so. Anyway, he does this, and the crowd still stayed dead. They didn't care. They're like, it doesn't matter how agile he is or strong or the things that he does. He's just not interesting, and no one cares. And they did the right thing in having Hendry beat him. That was the right thing to do. At that point, Hendry should have been taken out and gone outside the ring, and should have, even if he wasn't winning this thing, should have gone towards the end of this thing. If you're going to have Josh Alexander go heel, you should have had him go heel in the final two of this thing and pulled the trigger with him winning the damn title, because it made no sense. You have him go heel on Joe Hendry, which could have backfired. Here's the thing about us as Canadians. Even when we have the dastardliest, most evil Canadian wrestlers, we still cheer for them. So I am quite shocked at the Canadian crowd turning on Josh Alexander despite it being Joe Hendry, which is just a statement on how popular Joe Hendry is and why they should have pulled the trigger. You have this commodity.
Do you think it was turning on him, or I don't think the crowd was chanting towards Alexandra. I think they were chanting about him losing in that type of way, like to the booking or to how it was done. I think if it was done in the final two, like you said, I think it would have been a completely different situation.
Oh, for sure.
Sorry for cutting you in. Anyway,
no, it's all good. And see, I think they ran the risk. They ran the risk by having the Canadian turn on your hot commodity right now. And for what? Is this going to lead to a Joe Hendry, Josh Alexander feud? And with what end game? What is your end game with Joe Hendry and Josh Alexander? Because you're turning Josh Alexander, you're going to put him in this position where he's going to be that much more dangerous because he's going to be focused, more aggressive and stuff like that. So you don't really want him losing to a guy who a lot of his popularity is based on making fun of his opponents through song and everything like that. I think that's the wrong look for a heel-turned Josh Alexander moving forward. So I don't think that this benefits Alexander. I don't think it benefits Hendry. I think this part of the booking was completely wrong. Kazarian winning, that could have been an interesting go, especially seeing as he's never won it. I don't have a problem with Nick Nemeth winning because I think he's capable. I just think he's the wrong guy at the wrong time is the problem. It's that same old story. You've got a hot commodity, but you've got a guy who you can trust that's capable inside of a ring in Nick Nemeth. But unfortunately, they should have conceded and said, right now is the time to pull this trigger. We've got this guy here. We pull this trigger. He stated, I will look at the camera and challenge John Cena. This was your opportunity. Even if Cena couldn't be there tonight, he could have recorded a 30-second cameo. I'm sure he charges for it, but they could have afforded it one time to have Cena do some sort of reply to John Hendry, or even just wink at the camera to a little could they, couldn't they, John Cena during his retirement tour versus the TNA champion, Joe Hendry, I think would have been brilliant for your supposed 20th edition of your most popular, big, large event for the company. I think they blundered this main event very, very bad.
And it also, Slammiversary has always had a history of crowning champions that deserve it or put on absolute bangers. And they've missed the mark here tonight in a number of matches. And it's very irritating as well because, like you said, with John Cena, NXT at the moment are currently booking Joe Hendry better than TNA. And that's a worry that TNA need to be sorted. Like Nick Nemeth being champion is just, that's 2019 all over again, or 2012, whenever it was, all over again. And it's just, he's so good, Nick Nemeth, at losing that when he wins, it irritates me because it's like, you don't need it. You don't need it. This doesn't mean nothing to you. You are a guy that's so good at putting on excellent matches. He was, by the way, in that match, the best performing superstar in the match. By the way he sold the moves and the way that he did his moves. And I love Nick Nemeth for that. But story-wise, the man can't do it. And for a match, it's like the TNA have now got this thing where they're going into the WWE of struggling to pull the trigger, like they did with Bron Breakker, like they did with Chad Gable, like they've done with Cody Rhodes the first time. Among other things as well. I'm not just naming Sami Zayn matches before anyone has a hysterical fit. So it's very much, for me, they just missed the mark. And I'm disappointed in the show in general because this was Slammiversary. This is their WrestleMania. And there's so much that went wrong and one batshit crazy that it disappointed me a little bit more.
And it sucks because at the same time, imagine, especially after the way he's been in NXT, Joe Hendry said, I like it here. I'm going to stick with NXT and I'll be here for a while. Imagine him coming up with the world title on a weekly basis in NXT. How great would that have been marketing wise? So it's like, Moose losing, that's totally fine with me. Again, it's Steve Maclin, that's okay. I'm like, he's already had his chance. So to me, it would have been between Cass and Joe Hendry. Cass because of the history that he's never won the world championship in TNA, and he just returned. Like, that would have been a great story as it is. And I get Joe Hendry because of the marketing stuff, because I feel like NXT's running so great with that meme of him, like, say his name and he appears everywhere, and I feel like they're doing great with that. And it's like, you should capitalize on that. And I feel like this moment with Josh, I feel like it wasn't necessary because I feel like it took away from the match because the crowd was pissed. Not because it was Josh turning, but because Hendry, their favorite, got eliminated. That's the reason why they got pissed more than anything. Because, like, he's done. He's over with. So it's like, I understand Maclin and was, like, losing this part. Nick, it's like my in-between guy. I disagree in that part. I feel like he's world champion material. But I don't think he should have been world champion now, though. I feel like this wasn't his time. That's the only difference. But, again, I feel like the two people would have been Kaz and Joe for me in this match. And it's like having the ending the way they did. I was like, oh, great, they're going to put Cass as a world champion finally because this is the reason why he returned to TNA. He had a great story with Josh Alexander, which at that point made me think, oh, he's winning the title because of the history here. Didn't happen. Again, another opportunity here. Didn't happen either. So I don't know what's going to happen because you got to think about the fact that you don't have Cass for a lot of time probably. He's already been wrestling for quite a while at this point. Give the man the championship while he's here because you don't know how long he's going to be here for. That's how I think about it with him. But with Joe, it's like you gotta peak on the popularity, and I feel like they didn't take advantage of that. They should have, and I feel like it would have been great seeing him wherever he goes now, even with NXT going with the World Championship wherever he goes. Even just calling out Cena, you know what Cena would have done? This is what Cena does. Cena posts a picture of him on Instagram because that's how Cena responds. And Cena posting a picture of Joe Hendry or even a clip of the entrance, that would have been his thing of like, I'm watching you too, because that's what Cena does. And that would have been great for Joe Hendry and TNA too. I don't know why they didn't capitalize on that, but it's like, we'll see what happens from here now. But again,
if you look at the story leading to Slammiversary, at no point was Dolph Ziggler. He won his match for the title, but then he got taken out by Kazarian, which then turned into this feud where they were fighting outside of the ring, and they were beating each other up. And then he got injured. And then he somehow miraculously got cleared. By the way, if you go and watch that episode, the editing was horrific for that TNA show. That was me editing a video. That's how bad it was. Joe Hendry is going to be elevated. But how can you elevate a man more? This man is beyond TNA. This is what we're trying to say. He is way beyond TNA. Like, he's mainstreamed up. If you watch WWE Raw or SmackDown, at any point, you will see either a face of Joe Hendry or a sign for him. If you've got that much interest from that, unless WWE have turned around to TNA and go, don't put it on him, we want him more on here. And TNA have gone, okay, we'll give it to someone that can give banger matches. Fair enough. Wrestling skill. Yeah, maybe. I probably agree with you on that. But it's just one of those where I think that they've missed the mark here again. Yeah, disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
And also, I'm really annoyed I can't do this.
Come on, I never you clapped. I'm disappointed. Disappointment. You clapped too slow, and Bobby didn't clap at all.
I believe claps on time. What are you on about?
You didn't clap on time.
Right, we're doing it again, and we're gonna do it at the same time.
I wish we could see you. What is happening?
Yeah, you guys can't see the madness that is happening behind. You just can't see what's going on. No. It's too early in the morning for me to rebut all that.
Mark is all out of rants for the night.
Yeah, he's got to fire up the bangers of MASH and get ready for his day.
But
it's 10 to 6.
Champions. Oh gosh. The champions coming out. We had Jordynne coming out in ABC, and we had Ryan coming out to celebrate with him too, and PCO at the end. I don't know how he was walking after his match, and even Steph Delander, but overall, I feel like it was okay pay-per-view. So it was all over the place for me, at least.
It was messy. It was TNA. I had fun.
Yeah.
I've decided that TNA is now my batshit crazy show.
That's what it should have been.
I didn't expect the craziness that was going to happen. I wasn't expecting this at all. If I have to give the show overall for just pure wrestling, I think I would give it a 6 out of 10. If I give it for entertainment value, I'd give it a 9 because of the batshit craziness that happened. That is the reason. And do you know what? And I will say this in TNA's defense. It made us have a reaction. All right? It's made me have multiple rants. So it's given us a reaction. But that's what I think. What would you guys give it if you gave it a rating?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably go a little bit more towards the 6.5.
Yeah, I'll say like a 7.
So we're all in agreement that it was around about a 6, 7, and it's batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, TNA. We're looking forward to more.
They had the goal, and it became true. There you go.
Yeah.
But no, that was Slammiversary. Yeah, it's a roller coaster.
Yes,
It was a roller coaster.
Absolutely.
Rate the wrestling higher, 9 overall. Not disappointed by the wins and losses. And that's I mean, again, wrestling's subjective, and that's why we all can share different opinions. And I'm glad that you really enjoyed it. That's good news. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to see, but I don't think we have anybody left at the moment because it is literally 12:52 a.m. for us, Eastern time. I know Bobby's the
10 to
earliest.
6.
It's 10 to 6. By the way, when we started this recording, that was dark. It's now light. I'm now because I'm gonna be live with Bobby later today. I need sleep.
Sleep? What is that? I don't know what that means.
You don't need that.
No.
I have 2 kids. I need some sort of sleep.
Sure.
We should probably let him get to saying his credentials and all that kind of stuff, so we can get there eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Mark, where can people find
Go
it?
take a nap. Yeah.
You can find me at Mark Talks Football. I'm doing a Football Manager save at the moment where I started off unemployed to try and manage some of the biggest clubs in the world. I'm currently in Japan trying to win the league. And by the way, I've just recorded some more episodes coming to the end of the season. And I will say I'm getting more and more angry. Anyway, Mark Talks Gaming. No. Just by my recording, the anger levels were rising. Mark Talks Gaming. You can find I've got an EAFC save that will be coming to an end this week, unexpectedly. Anger levels rise because of how that ended, and I will be having starting Thursday will be or Friday, sorry. Friday will be Formula One Manager 24. The new Formula One Manager game is coming out Tuesday night, Monday night, Tuesday morning, and that will be for doing that. And you could create your own team and me trying to sign Lewis Hamilton because I need him. And then Mark Talks Wrestling. I have a big video. This is my personal big video coming out later on today or tomorrow for everyone in America. I did my very first sketch video. Just me solo all the way throughout. It's a comedy type thing, very dark humor, not that dark that it could get me cancelled. I was very careful in that. But yes, it's all about the future of my series. We're coming to an end very, very soon. You guys will be seeing the start of next week. ECW One Night Stand will be all of next week. After the shenanigans of me taking over the brands of Bobby's brand and Lauren Goodnight's brand. Bobby's brand happened in a warehouse because I didn't like MLW and that's where they deserve. And because Lauren is a big fan of Saudi Arabia, I took AEW to Saudi Arabia. By the way, I've never had so much fun recording both of those episodes before. But ECW is starting very, very soon. Lovely to meet you. Hope you had a good night as well. But yeah, that's me. Mark Talks Gaming, Mark Talks Football, Mark Talks Wrestling. I'm fucking everywhere. You'll find me somewhere.
All right. I'll get my credentials out of the way quickly before we go to our amazing host. I am Bobby. That's my credentials right down at the bottom of the screen. You're going to be able to find me tomorrow with that man right up there, Mark Robson. As we're doing Point of View, we're going to be talking about some football, talking some wrestling, having a good old time. That's going to go at 11 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. You get to be every Thursday night with Papa Spokes doing Ring Respect Radio, where I hopefully am going to be able to make it this Thursday night. I'm going to be rolling back into town, make it just in time to bring you more of that wonderful show. Aside from that, I do music reactions, movie reviews. I've got an abundance of movie reviews I have to get around to, including the movie Twisters that I just managed to catch today. So all of that coming out very, very soon on the channel. Like, follow, subscribe, all those wonderful, wonderful things. And now, as I find the right banners here, as I'm changing over, here we go. Now we can go over to our amazing host, Astrid. Where can the people find you?
You can find me on my Twitter blue skies, Astrid Pizarro, and then Instagram and Threads, Astrid Pizarro 20. You can find me on my YouTube channel, where I just released a little bit earlier before the show predictions for Slammiversary with this guy right here. So we'll see how many of those I got wrong, because I know he probably had better than I did. So it doesn't surprise me. But again, you can find the latest episode, latest wrestling showcase. We talk about Stephanie being WB bound and Julia coming over, and a lot more on that episode. So a lot of exciting things that happen there. Again, you can find me on Tuesday doing Taking Over with good old Ed Fries as we talk about NXT on our way to the Great American Bash, sir. But no, I want to thank you guys for being here with me tonight and doing this. Seems like we were probably like debating back and forth about doing a Slammiversary show, but we didn't want to miss it because Slammiversary and it's TNA. But it's nice to talk about TNA whenever we can. So thank you guys for joining me. Thank you everybody for watching, and then we'll see you next time.
No, and by the way, if you guys haven't, make sure you go and subscribe to Astrid. She hates praise, so we're going to praise her now. She does a really, really good job of doing everything. And if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be here tonight doing the review show. So make sure you go and give her some love as well. She does brilliant work. And so make sure you go and check that out. And also, she's going to go very red embarrassed now. She's going to try and cut me off in a minute. But I'm going to end now. Well, thank you, Astrid, for having us tonight. You were amazing. And you did a great job. And so thank you for having me here tonight.
Yeah. Thank you very much. A wonderful night. We've just raided over to Miss Thickums. Go enjoy Miss Thickums here on a Saturday evening. Take care, everybody, and we even appreciate late run-ins from our good friend Auntie Collins as we say good night.
Do not put ice in your wine. All right. Do
Right.
not put ice in your
Oh,
body.
yeah.
Life lessons are over. We're out. We'll catch you later. Take care of everybody.